Hey Meeple people, and on today's vlog, we're playing Hidden Leaders by BFF Games. Let's get to it!
The island of Oshra is in turmoil. Following the death of the Emperor, the conflict between the hill tribes and the Imperial Army escalated. While the Water People try to maintain balance between the old rivals, the undead aim to cause an outright war. All hope rests on the 6 children of the Emperor. Who will claim the throne?
Hey Meeple people, and hello Sarah.
Hi there.
So Sarah, what game are we playing on the vlog today?
Today we're going to be playing Hidden Leaders by BFF Games. This is a 2 to 6 player game, and the company has sent us this prototype for the channel. Thank you so much. This game will be launching on Kickstarter very soon, and like I said, this is a prototype. So a lot of this is very, very close to being final form, if it's not final form just yet, but just in case, there may be some things about the final version of the game which are a little bit different than how you see them here. Would you like to know how to play?
Yes, please.
Okay, so in Hidden Leaders, we've each been given a hidden role, right? Nick has one right there, and he is going to show you. Now, I don't know what his is, and he doesn't know what mine is, but the important thing to note here is that there are these 2 colors on either side of the card here. When the game ends, if you have managed to manipulate the game in such a way that the win conditions of one of those 2 colors is met, then you win the game. And the way that it works is that we are going to, there are 4 different possible colors that could be on your card, and there are always going to be 2 different colors on a card, but maybe we have some overlap, like maybe Nick has red and green and maybe I have red and blue, right? Or maybe I have, you know, black and blue. There's no overlap at all. So there are, like I said, there's the 4 types of sort of tribes or people groups that we see represented in the game. There's the undead, and the way that you win if you have the undead is by when the end of the game is triggered, if you're able to meet this condition right here, which is to have both of these tokens right here somewhere in this dark colored section of the board here. Alternatively, if you have the water people on your card, then you want both of these to be on the same space or within 1 space of each other. If you have the empire, then you want the red token to be at least 2 spaces ahead of the green token. And if you have the tribes, then you want the opposite of that. You want the green token to be at least 2 spaces ahead of the red. And if you're able to manipulate the game state so that your condition, your win condition is happening at the end of the game, then you have a chance at winning. So the way that the game ends is when any player has 7 or more cards face up in front of them, then the game will end and we'll go down this win conditions card until we reach a win condition that is actually happening in the game at that moment. And then the player that controls that particular faction wins the game. There's a tiebreaker in case multiple factions are controlled by different players. If the same faction is controlled by multiple players. So the way that it works is on your turn, what you're going to do is you're either going to play a card from your hand, and you would typically play it face up into your play area, and then you get to perform an ability. For example, if this card was in my hand, I could play it face up to my area, and then I could either move the green token 1 space forward, or I could move it 2 spaces forward if it was behind the red marker. So right now it's in front of the red marker, so if I played this card at this time, it would only just move 1 space forward. And then this card would stay face up in front of me, and at the end of the game, when we go to check to see if players have won, this will help me if I had the green faction as sort of one of the factions that I was trying to get to win. So you can either play a card on your turn and carry out this action, or you can discard up to 3 cards from your hand, and you would discard them to this area right here, which is going to act as like a discard pile for us. Yeah, this is called the Wilderness, and it's going to act as like a discard pile for us throughout the game. But players can retrieve cards from the wilderness, and players can also retrieve cards from this area over here, which is called the graveyard. So then we would refill our hand, and when we refill our hand, we can draw from here or here. So you've got a few face-up cards if you want. You can also top deck cards from the draw deck over here. And you might want to be a little bit careful when you're drawing new cards, because you don't want other players to guess which factions your leader belongs to, because then they can make it a lot harder for you to meet your win conditions. So if you're just constantly drawing green cards, face-up green cards, then they might be like, I think, you know what, you probably might have
we at least know one of your factions.
Exactly, and then they might try to make it a little harder for you to win. So you want to be kind of careful when you're drawing new cards not to, tip your hand too much. So the game is pretty simple. Basically, on your turn, you either just play a card or you discard and draw cards. Essentially, once the number of face-up heroes is met for the game, for us, it's going to be 7. So once at least one player has 7 face-up heroes in front of them, then the end game is triggered. And if you have been able to meet the win conditions, or if you've been able to sort of make the win conditions manifest out here of one of the 2 factions that your hidden leader is, then you will win as long as no one else wins before you. So if, for example, if we had, let's set it up like this. Let's say we've got let's say we've got it like this. Excuse my cat, he's very angry. Okay, so in this condition, both the undead and the tribes would be eligible to win, right? Because both of their win conditions are met. Both of the tokens are in the gray space on the board, and the green token is at least 2 spaces ahead of the red token. So if my leader was undead and the water people, then I would win. But let's say that my leader was the tribes and the water people. If Nick was the undead and the water people, then he would win, because even though we both meet the appropriate conditions, we'll go in this order when determining who's actually won the game. So, should we try it, Nick?
Yeah. And also, if you tie, that's why you try to space out your colors, because if you tie, then you'll reveal the ones you have face up in front of you, and also there's some hidden leaders, so you can have like a hidden advantage, but then you'll reveal that, and then whoever has more of that color will be the victor.
So if, for example, Nick and I both had a trait on our leaders that was red, maybe, let's say, and we both met the red win conditions at the same time, right? Then what would happen is the tiebreaker would go to however many red cards you have in front of you of all the cards you've played. So if I'm about to trigger the end game and I think, well, even if Nick has red like I do, and I'm about to make red the win, then I know I have, like say 4 red ones face up in front of me. He's only got 2 red ones face up in front of him. Well, if he had 3 face down red ones, he actually has 5 red ones. So when we go to like calculate our scores, he'll actually win. So there's hidden information here. There's a bit of a, almost like an espionage sort of feel to things.
Yeah. And if you ever tie in that way too, then you just count whoever has the most heroes in front of them, including like your guy. But yeah, so let's get into it. We'll come back midway through the game to discuss more of how we are doing in Hidden Leaders by BFF Games. So yeah, see you guys in a sec. Toodles! Welcome back, Meeple People, and hello, Sarah.
Hi.
So how's it going in Hidden Leaders so far?
Well, I wouldn't know, but
leaders.
I think it's going well. Yeah, we've played, I have 4 face-up cards. You have 5 face-up cards.
I do.
It's your turn next.
Yes.
So we're probably a little bit more than halfway through the game at this point. I feel okay about what's going on over here.
Do you now?
I do. We'll see if it actually works out in my favor at the end. How are you feeling?
I guess I would say I feel pretty good about my chances of victory, but I feel like you have been leading with a win condition or trying to acquire a win condition that would override my win condition. So I need to finish this up and make sure certain conditions aren't made. So you beat me, but yeah, I think the win condition you're going for is over mine. So if you get there first,
I
then I'll be
really
screwed.
like some of the artwork. I think it's really cute. This is a shaky sharpshooter, right? Which is a little bit ironic, but I think it's really cute. There's a short-sighted soldier and an underestimated squire, and there's just a bunch of cute stuff happening in here.
Indeed.
What do you think about the gameplay so far, Nick?
I like it. I really enjoyed this one. When we did our our practice game, I just it wasn't that hard to learn.
No, it's very simple to learn.
Very simple to learn, and I really like the artwork. There is a vegetarian shark guard in here somewhere, which I thought was really cool, and he looked really awesome. Caught my eye when this game was being offered for review.
The artwork is really nice too because there's not only is there like the primary artwork, right? But there's also some nice like background artwork. So all of the green cards have this background, right? This like sort of like village looking background that's happening back here. And then like all of the black cards have like this dark colored sort of background imagery here, and then like all the blue cards are like underwater, so there's like some fish or divers or something over here. So there's all this nice sort of I don't know,
The artwork and the theme are going together just as the...
yeah, and the artwork is like it's kind of subtle, you know, like the artwork in the background of everything makes everything flow together. All the blue cards are like very easily identifiable as blue cards, not just because of the color, but also because of like the symbolism that they chose to use and having the background images all be the same, even though there's unique artwork on every card. So I feel like they've doing a really good job of presenting the game. All of the iconography is really easy to understand. It's very easy to see, like even across the table, it's easy for me to like look at Nick's cards and know exactly what they did to the game state and that kind of thing. So I think that like as a game like presented on the table, they've done a really, really good job with some just kind of basic but sometimes overlooked areas of production. So I think that they're doing a good job there.
Awesome. Well, shall we get back into it?
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's get back in and see who is the winner and loser of Hidden Leaders by BFF Games. All right, well, we'll get back with you guys in a second. So, toodles! Why, hello, Sarah, and welcome back, people. So, how'd the game end?
So, we're coming up to the end of the game, and we both knew it, right? We know that the end of the game is when there are 7 face-up hero cards, and Nick had like 5-ish, and I felt like we probably both had red on our hero cards because we were both playing a lot of red cards. And so I was trying to, my other color was black. So I had red and black. And in the way that the end game resolves is that black gets to go first. So if you've met the win condition for black, then if you have black as one of your colors, then you win. So I figured because I figured Nick and I both had red, if I could get my other color to like be the if I could one. Yeah, if I could also get the win condition for the undead faction to be manifest, then even if Nick ended the game and we both had red, we would score black first, and if I would have been able to get that to happen, then I would have won. That's what I was thinking in my head. But I just could not seem to get it to happen. So what ended up happening was Nick played the 7th hero card, the 7th face-up hero card, and he triggered the end game. And in doing that, not only did he play enough cards to have the end game trigger, but he also was able to manipulate the game state so that he was able to achieve a victory for the
Water people.
Water people, thank you. And that was his other faction other than red, and so he won the game.
Indeed.
What do you think, Nick?
Indeed. It was close. I knew you were trying to go for the undead, or at least get the pieces in the undead area. And it was a little struggle there for a second there. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And then you can mitigate, cards can mitigate. Like, they can kill cards, that will send them to the graveyard, or it'll make cards flip face over. Actually, Sarah actually flipped one of my face down. This was my face down card before I revealed it for endgame.
And honestly, that should have been more. I should have paid more attention to that, because what happens is at the beginning of the game, each player is dealt 5 cards, and from those 5 cards, they have to secretly turn one of them face down right away, and then they discard one to this pile right here, so that's also discarded face down, and then they have 3 cards, and that's like their starting hand, right? And at the beginning of the game, Nick discarded a card. He turned a card face down like this in his area, right? So I played a card that allowed me to force him to flip over one of his face down cards. And I wanted him to flip over the card that he had played face down at the very beginning of the game, because I was thinking in my head that, to me, it makes the most sense strategically to, when you get your opening hand of cards, if you can, to turn face down a card of one of your colors, right? So for me, my face down card was a red one. So I feel like strategically it's smart to at the very beginning of the game to turn a color of your own face down in your area, so that at the end of the game you have another point in your favor for that particular color, right? So I was thinking that, and I was thinking that that's a good move strategically. So when I was able to get Nick to flip over one of his cards, I told him that I wanted to see the card that he had played face down at the very beginning of the game, and he flipped it over, and it was a blue card. And before I had him flip it over, I was thinking, okay, this is gonna give me some information. I think one of his colors is red, and whatever this is probably his other color. Well, it was, but then I stopped paying attention to that. So, yeah.
And then you flipped a card, so now that adds to the end of the game, to where now I'm 1 card closer, when we were, one card difference. And then you boosted me ahead with revealing a card. In our previous games, you've killed a lot of my cards. So
I think it was this one right here. When I played this card, I got to choose another player and turn one of either their face up cards face down or one of their face down cards face up. And I had him, this was the card that I used to have him turn it face up. So not only did I add to the number of cards he had face up in front of him, which starts to count towards the end of the game, but I also got that little bit of extra information there. So I should have used that a little bit more.
There's a lot of finesse in the game, because you can keep discarding cards so you don't trigger the end of the game, and you can get cards that will make the game even longer, like killing a card that takes away from somebody's party and moves it to the graveyard, and then also flipping over, because cards that are face down don't add to the 7, so you can force people to flip them face down. But you just have to be able to remember, like, hey, like, what was that card I flipped down, and make sure I remember that card.
Yeah, especially because I said, I kind of figured out that Nick probably had red, and then if I would have paid more attention to that thing that I did know, then I would have probably also thought, okay, he's probably got blue as well. So then I would have known red and blue were probably Nick's win condition colors. And so then if I had him turn down black or green cards, they wouldn't have counted towards his win condition at all, but they also wouldn't have counted towards the overall end game either. Yeah. So that could have been a way to extend the game a little bit further as well.
It's interesting because there's hidden rules in the game, but at the same time, you're trying to make sure you're keeping track of all the information that, did you figure this out? Oh, by the way, what do they have face down? What do they have face up? What are things that, could help me keep the game going so I can prevent it? There's a lot of misdirection you could do in the game, or manipulation.
Certainly. Yeah, certainly. And in other hidden information games, sometimes I feel like the information that you need in order to make your particular situation work for you will tip your hand, and it'll kind of give other players, maybe an idea of what you need or what you're looking to avoid or that kind of thing. But in this game, I felt like the ability of all of the cards was interesting enough and helpful enough to all players, no matter what their particular colors were, that I could take a green card, right? Like a green card at the end of the game does absolutely nothing for me, right? Because I don't have green anywhere on this card. But if this particular ability is useful to me for moving these markers around, or maybe I get to have an opponent's card flipped face up or something like that. If that
or you
ability
flip one of your cards face down.
If that ability is useful enough to me, it doesn't really matter what color the card is. So there's nothing about selecting a card which makes it feel like you're tipping your hand about what colors that you might have on your hidden leader. Yeah. And I liked that a lot, because there are some games where I feel like you have information that's supposed to be hidden, but just by the nature of trying to achieve whatever your particular objective is, you're probably going to let everybody know what you have. And I didn't feel like this game suffered from that at all.
Yeah, because it's definitely, because I feel like some games, the second you find out what someone is and the game isn't over, it's like, oh, well, okay. But in this game, you have to figure out both sides of their card, and then whatever color there is, and then also you have to pay attention to their cards. Because yeah, there were some cards that, like these two green ones, I didn't need, but this card right here helped me out, because for the blue win condition, these pieces need to be next to each other or on the same space. So they were the same, and plus I got to put a card from my hand into my party face down. So that just adds another card. And I really enjoyed this one.
I did too. I think that this is probably one of the best hidden information games that I've ever played. And it was also probably one of the most fun, if not the funnest, tug of war game I've ever played.
Interesting, because yeah, I didn't even feel it like that, but it was.
It really is. It's so you don't know exactly who the other characters are, right? But you know what you're trying to manifest. So I know that I'm trying to manifest the win conditions for the red or the black. Either one, doesn't really matter which one, but one of these would be preferable to something else, right? But all the other players are probably trying to manifest other sorts of realities, right? And normally in tug of war games, I get really, really fatigued and really, really bored by the tug of war sort of mechanics of constantly moving back and forth over the same ground, right? But in this one, I felt like there was definitely tug of war mechanics, but they were so well disguised in what you were trying to achieve on sort of a larger scale that it didn't bother me as not even a little bit.
Yeah, because I didn't even really notice that, but then when you brought it up, I was like, oh yeah.
I usually hate tug of war mechanics because I feel like
it drags the game.
Yeah,
usually if it has that, it drags the game.
Yeah,
it's like,
and it usually feels like, 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing. But in this game, it didn't feel that way to me. It felt like while I was you were trying to achieve one particular game state, and I was maybe trying to achieve a different game state. And even though we were pulling the game in sort of opposite directions, I didn't get that fatigued feeling that I usually feel in tug of war style games. Which was really, really nice, because when I kind of started to figure out that was in here, I was like, oh man, I'm probably going to hate this, because I almost always hate this. But it was actually, like I said, I don't know if it was like the peas tucked under the mashed potatoes kind of thing or what, but it didn't feel like the typical tug of war mechanics that really, really fatigue me and bore me in some other games. So whatever design twist they put on it in this particular game, super good job, because normally I hate that, and in this game it didn't even bother me at all. I knew it was there, but it didn't bother me at all. So
cool. Awesome. So this was our vlog of Hidden Leaders by BFF Games, and we hope you all enjoyed it. Keep an eye out for this one on Kickstarter. I really recommend you all look at this one because it's really cool. I really, as you know, we just talked about, really enjoyed the mechanics and just really everything about it. It doesn't take too much table space either, which is also nice.
It doesn't take too much table space. It doesn't take too much time to learn or play. It's a little bit hard of a game to describe how it plays. I'm not sure that I did like a great job really explaining exactly how to play this game, but if you sit down and play it, I mean, even a few minutes into our very first game, I felt like I knew exactly what was going on, what I was nice. Doing, and yeah, it's very, very easy to pick up on. Very easy to play. Now, the strategies, on the other hand, I feel like
you're going to have to play this quite a bit to get a feel for
to conquer the strategies, I think.
Definitely. All right. Well, we hope you all enjoy this vlog, and we will catch you next time. Toodles!